10 soul groups. 10 betrayals so deep, so personal, that they didn't just end careers. They ended families. We're not talking about record labels cheating artists, not about racism, not about the industry machine grinding people up. We're talking about the person standing right next to you on stage, the one who called you brother, the one who said forever. By the time we get to number 1, you're going to understand that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one who knows every word of your song. Let's go. Number 10, Gladys Knight and the Pips. Family Torn Apart by Legal Fine Print. Gladys Knight and the Pips were not just a group. They were blood, literally. Gladys, her brother Bubba Knight, their cousins William Guest and Edward Patton. They had been singing together since 1952. That is over 30 years of rehearsals, road trips, dressing rooms, and shared dreams. They gave us Midnight Train to Georgia, If I Were Your Woman, Neither One of Us, and songs that became the soundtrack of an entire generation. And then in 1988, Gladys announced she was going solo. Now, artists leave groups all the time. That is the business. But here is where the betrayal lives. The Pips tried to keep performing without her, and their contract with MCA Records had a clause. A tiny piece of legal language buried in the fine print that said the Pips could not record or perform without Gladys Knight. So, while Gladys relaunched her career, her own family, her brother, her cousins, sat in silence, locked out by a contract. Bubba Knight later said the split hurt worse than anything they had ever been through together. 36 years. And it ended with lawyers. They reunited in 1996 for one final tour. But William Guest passed in 2015. Edward Patton was gone by 2005. The family never fully came back together again. A contract clause destroyed what 60 years of loyalty had built. That is betrayal. That you were still in love with me. Number 9, the Platters. 30 years of lawsuits over a name. Oh, no, you'll never know. The Platters gave the world Only You. The Great Pretender. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Songs so smooth, so effortless, you would never imagine what was happening behind closed doors. Even when you're glancing by. In 1959, the 4 male members of the group were arrested in Cincinnati on morals charges. They were eventually found innocent, but the damage to their reputation was done. Lead singer Tony Williams used that moment as his exit. He quit in 1960. I'm demanding more money, more control, more credit. Mercury Records refused to release new Platters material without his voice, so the group spent 2 years releasing old recordings while Williams tried to make it solo. His solo career flopped, but that is not the betrayal. The betrayal is what happened for the next 30 years. Multiple versions of the Platters began touring simultaneously. Tony Williams had his Platters. Paul Roby had his Platters. Zola Taylor had her Platters. Herb Reed had his Platters. Fans across the country were buying tickets thinking they were seeing the real group and walking into a room full of strangers singing their favorite songs. You see. They sued each other over and over again. For decades. In 2005, Herb Reed finally won. The court ruled he was the only surviving original member with legal rights to the name. But by then, Tony Williams was dead. Paul Roby was dead. Zola Taylor was fading. And they spent 30 years fighting each other over a name instead of making music. That is betrayal. Number 8, the Delphonics. Brothers sue each other.
I gave my heart and soul.
The Delphonics were brothers. William Hart and Wilbert Hart, along with Randy Kane, gave us Lala Means I Love You and Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time. Sweet falsetto. Philly soul at its absolute finest. But in the 1970s, Randy Kane left the group, and then the Hart brothers started fighting each other. William wanted full control of the Delphonics name. Wilbert said, "We are brothers. We built this together." William said it did not matter. By the 2000s, there were 2 Delphonics touring at the same time. William Hart and the Delphonics on one side, a competing version with Wilbert Hart on the other. Brothers, blood relatives, taking each other to court over a group name. In 2022, William Hart passed away at 77 years old. The lawsuit outlived the music. 2 brothers who should have spent their final years celebrating a legendary legacy instead went to their graves still fighting. That is betrayal. Before we go any further, if this music is bringing back memories or creating brand new ones, then Soul Lens was made for you. This channel exists to keep soul music alive. Not just the hits, but the history, the heartbreak, and the real stories behind the records. Hit subscribe, settle in, and let us keep walking through this together. The stories only get more powerful from here.
Where are the lovers tonight? Where are all the lovers?
Number 7, the Drifters. The manager who fired everybody. The Drifters were one of the biggest rhythm and blues groups in America. Even after lead singer Clyde McPhatter left for a solo career, the group was still packing houses. Then one day, manager George Treadwell walked into a rehearsal and fired every single member. All of them. In one afternoon, Clyde McPhatter gone, Bill Pinkney gone, the Thrasher brothers gone. Everyone. But here is the thing people do not understand about this story. Treadwell legally owned the name The Drifters. He had made sure of that from the beginning. So he simply found a group called the 5 Crowns performing at the Apollo Theater, renamed them The Drifters overnight, and kept the machine running. The original members, the men who built that name, were tossed aside like they never existed. The replacement group went on to record There Goes My Baby, Save the Last Dance for Me, Ice and Under the Boardwalk. Classics, beloved forever. All performed by men who had nothing to do with building what the Drifters were. Ben E. King, who joined the new lineup, later said he felt bad for the originals. They created something real, and it was taken from them.
Save the last dance for us this evening.
The original Drifters sued. They lost. Treadwell owned the name. Bill Pinkney spent the rest of his life touring as the original Drifters, trying to reclaim what was stolen from him. That is betrayal.
Broadway.
Number 6, Martha and the Vandellas. The star who erased the foundation. Martha Reeves had one of the most commanding voices in Motown history. Dancing in the street. Heat wave, nowhere to run, nobody could touch her. But she did not do it alone. Rosalind Ashford and Annette Beard were the original Vandellas. The foundation, the harmonies, the soul beneath the soul. In 1963, Annette had to leave after getting pregnant. Martha replaced her with Betty Kelly. Fine, life happens. Then in 1969, Rosalind wanted to step back, get married, settle down. Martha replaced her with Sandra Tilley. Also understandable. But here is where it shifts from business to betrayal. Martha did not just replace her bandmates, she erased them. For years, in interviews, in press coverage, in her public story, the original Vandellas were barely mentioned. Rosalind Ashford and Annette Beard watched from the sidelines as the woman they built a legacy with took full credit for everything they created together. When the original Vandellas tried to reunite for nostalgia tours in later years, Martha refused. She owned the name. She was the star. They were replaceable. Annette Beard put it plainly. We built that group together, but Martha acted like it was always just her. That is betrayal. Number 5, the Spinners. Philippe Wynne and the Ego. That cost everything. In the 1970s, the Spinners were one of the hottest groups in soul music. I'll Be Around. Could it be I'm Falling in Love? The Rubber Band Man, hit after hit. And leading most of those hits was Philippe Wynne. That soaring falsetto, that stage magnetism. Fans assumed he was the Spinners.
Every time I speak your name.
By 1976, Wynne had had enough of being the engine without his name on the hood. But he walked into a meeting with one demand. Change the group's name to Philippe Wynne and the Spinners. Bobby Smith, Henry Fambro, and the rest of the group said no. They had been together since 1954, long before Wynne joined in 1972. They were not about to rename themselves for one man's ego. So in January 1977, Philippe Wynne quit. He thought he would be bigger alone. His first solo album flopped. No hit singles. But he eventually joined Parliament Funkadelic and got one memorable moment with the track Knee Deep. But he never came close to the success he had with the Spinners. Wynne eventually admitted it himself. His words have become almost legendary in soul music circles. I found out one thing, guys. The name Philippe Wynne ain't worth a thing.
You can be sure
On July 13th, 1984, Philippe Wynne collapsed on stage in Oakland, California. Heart attack. He was 43 years old. He destroyed his career over billing. That is betrayal. Number 4, the Isley Brothers. Blood versus a trademark. The Isley Brothers were not just a group, they were blood. Ronald Rudolph and O'Kelly Isley built one of the most enduring legacies in soul and R&B history. Shout, twist, and shout. It's your thing. Decades of hits. In 1984, O'Kelly passed away from a heart attack. Then, in 1989, Rudolph left the group to become a Christian minister, leaving Ronald as the face of the Isley Brothers' name. For years, it was fine. But Ronald carried the legacy forward. But in 2023, Rudolph, now 85 years old, came out of retirement. He wanted to tour as the Isley Brothers. Ronald said no. So Rudolph sued his own brother. The lawsuit revealed that Ronald had secretly trademarked the Isley Brothers' name in 2021 without notifying Rudolph. Rudolph argued that as an original member who helped build everything the name represented, he had equal rights to use it. The case went before a judge. No brothers who had sung together for over 60 years now stood on opposite sides of a courtroom. In 2024, the judge ruled in Ronald's favor. He controlled the trademark. Rudolph was legally blocked from using the Isley Brothers' name. Two brothers. One legacy, torn apart by a trademark filed in secret. That is betrayal. Number 3, the Supremes. Florence Ballard and the silencing of a founder.
Heaven opens its portals to me.
Most people think Diana Ross founded the Supremes. She did not. Florence Ballard founded the Supremes. Florence put the group together in 1959. She recruited Mary Wilson. She recruited Diana Ross. She named them the Primettes, then the Supremes. And she was the original lead singer.
I would live life through.
But Motown founder Berry Gordy had other plans. He was fixated on Diana Ross, believed she was more marketable, more controllable, and more aligned with his vision of crossover appeal. So in 1963, Gordy moved Diana to the front and pushed Florence to the background. For years, Florence watched someone else receive credit for what she built. By 1967, the weight of it was crushing her. She started drinking. She gained weight. She missed rehearsals. And Gordy used every one of those moments as justification.
No more.
He kicked her out of her own group. In Florence Ballard's severance package, $139,000 and a gag order preventing her from using the Supremes' name to promote herself. Her lawyer stole most of the money.
Sometimes we walk.
A BC Records signed her for a solo deal. Both singles flopped. By the early 1970s, Florence Ballard, the woman who founded one of the most iconic groups in music history, was on welfare, living in a Detroit housing project with her 3 children. On February 21st, 1976, Florence died of a heart attack. She was 32 years old. Diana Ross was selling out arenas. Florence died broke and forgotten. That is betrayal. Number 2, the Temptations.
Let me ask you again.
How David Ruffin destroyed himself.
So kind of clap your hands, yeah.
David Ruffin did not just sing for the Temptations. He was the Temptations. My girl, ain't too proud to beg. I wish it would rain. That voice, raw, testifying, soul-shaking. There was nothing like it. Fans came specifically to see David Ruffin, and David knew it.
Any lovers out there? Is any lovers?
By 1967, his ego had outgrown the group. He was showing up late to rehearsals, missing performances, demanding more money. And he wanted the group renamed David Ruffin and the Temptations, the same billing Diana Ross had gotten with the Supremes. Otis Williams, the group's anchor and leader, said no. The Temptations were a group, not a solo act with backup singers. On June 27, 1968, the Temptations had a show in Cleveland. David Ruffin did not show up, so they fired him on the spot and replaced him with Dennis Edwards that same night. David Ruffin spent the next 23 years trying to prove he did not need them. A solo career that delivered some moments, but mostly disappointment. And then the cocaine, which consumed everything. By 1991, he was broke and desperate, touring small venues alongside former Temptations lead Eddie Kendricks. On June 1st, 1991, David arrived in Philadelphia with $40,000 cash and a money belt. What happened next remains unclear. He was found unresponsive and dropped off at a hospital by a limousine driver who disappeared. Cocaine overdose. The $40,000 was gone. David Ruffin was pronounced dead 1 hour later. He was 50 years old. The hospital tagged him as John Doe, because no one recognized the greatest lead singer the Temptations ever had. That is betrayal.
I want to tell you about this girl of mine.
Number 1, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Teddy Pendergrass, gave everything and got nothing.
Oh, Teddy Bear. Teddy Bear.
You know the voice. If you don't know me by now, the love I lost. Wake up, everybody. That voice, the one that made grown men close their eyes and women stop breathing, belonged to Teddy Pendergrass. But the name on the marquee? Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Here is the truth. Harold Melvin was not singing. Teddy Pendergrass was delivering every lead vocal on every hit. On every single note that made the Blue Notes legendary came from Teddy. But Harold Melvin controlled the money, completely and deliberately. By 1975, Teddy was done being treated like a sideman. He demanded equal billing, equal pay. Harold refused. So Teddy made one specific ask. Change the group's name to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes featuring Theodore Pendergrass. It took a full year of pressure, but Harold finally agreed.
You've been doing nothing but.
In 1975, the billing changed. It was not enough. In 1976, at the absolute peak of their commercial success, Teddy Pendergrass quit. He and Harold got into a screaming match over money that ended with Teddy walking out the door. What happened next was extraordinary. Teddy went solo and became the biggest male soul star in America. 5 consecutive platinum albums. Close the Door, Turn Off the Lights, Love TKO. He became the first R&B artist to sell out multiple shows at venues that had never fully embraced soul music. Harold Melvin replaced him, and the Blue Notes never had another major hit. And then, in 1982, Teddy Pendergrass was paralyzed in a car accident. His career was nearly destroyed. He made a remarkable comeback in 1984, but he was never the same. On January 13th, 2010, Teddy Pendergrass died of respiratory failure. He was 59 years old.
I swear I do.
Harold Melvin died in 1997. Broke. Forgotten. As the man had one of the greatest voices in the history of soul music singing exclusively for him. And he was too greedy and too insecure to share the spotlight. Teddy gave Harold Melvin everything. And Harold Melvin gave him nothing. That is betrayal.
Just hanging it all up, y'all.